today we're going to talk about building and managing your roofing company's online reputation. We'd like this to be interactive in the chat. Dave, how are you?
Sharp, and often
I like this to be interactive. So in the chat, please put a 1 if you have a great online reputation. Put a 2 if you need to work on it. Check out those chats. Couple of 1s. You guys got great reputations, and so joining a webinar on building your online reputation, that tells me the people that put a 1 in the chat that this has been a focus of yours, right? And what we focus on expands, and we'll talk about that. But it's super, super important to have a good online reputation. And so, for the next hour, turn off your cell phones, turn off Facebook, give us some of your attention, give us your attention. I have everything on Do Not Disturb here. Actually, I have one forgot to put on Do Not Disturb. So let me do that while we do that. All right. So now I don't have that phone ringing. So today we're going to talk about some of the best tools to use for generating a 5-star experience, how to tap into the power of multi-channel communication, meaning email, SMS, physical conversations to increase your review count, how online reviews are a team sport, and some ideas around how to get the team engaged in getting online reviews, and why you must acknowledge and respond to all reviews, good, bad, and indifferent. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jim Aline. I'm the co-founder of Roofer Marketers. I'm the general manager of marketing services at JobNimbus, and I am the host of the Roofing Success podcast. I am a coach in Adam Bensman's Pitch Pro movement. Check that out if you haven't. We're ICO Roof Pro partners. We're part of the Limitless Roofing GPO, members of the NRCA. And I think I mentioned I'm the host of the Roofing Success podcast, and I've co-written 2 books on the subject of digital marketing for roofing companies in the roofing industry. And we have a great YouTube channel. Go check that out. But this is what we do every day. We do digital marketing for roofing contractors. And at JobNimbus, we do the project management and make contractors heroes. So we do this in a few different ways, or we have a philosophy around here around 3 core principles. And the first is that you need to be maximizing the opportunity to generate a lead for your roofing business, right? You want to maximize all of the opportunities that are available to you. The second core principle is to maximize your brand impressions. The more times people see your brand in the marketplace, the more likely they are to trust you. And then the third core principle that we focus on is maximizing conversion rates for everything that you're doing. And that's really what this presentation fits into today, is that maximizing conversion rates. So let me ask you guys, drop it in the chat, or unmute, and feel free to unmute. Why is it important to have a good online reputation? What do you guys think? And for anyone struggling with this, what struggles have you had building an online reputation, a good online reputation? More business, Jill says. Yeah. I mean, that's the core of it, right? It's like, hey, we just need, this is what we do. It creates more business. Having that online reputation creates more business. We're going to talk about a few ways that happens and why that happens. But really, online reviews can make or break your company. I mean, it's people trust online reviews as much as they do a recommendation from a friend or family member, right? And we are in the business of referrals, right? This is JobNimbus. At JobNimbus, we did a survey last year, and 80% of contractors' businesses came from referrals. I think it was about 80% came from referrals. We rely heavily on that referral business, the name you have in your community, the brand that you have. It's a big deal. And when you think about it, it's the way we buy. Put a 1 in the chat if you look at a company's reviews or a product reviews, right? A product's reviews. Like if you're going on Amazon or something, are you reading the reviews? Drop a 1 in the chat if you're looking at that, right? We're always looking at this. We're looking at the online reputation of the product or service or company or person, right? We're looking at that, at ways to see through that. And so, or see into if it is worthwhile to purchase or not. And so if you have a bad online reputation, it can be off in what is a reflection of what your actual service is, right? It's amazing to me the amount of online bad reviews that are around. Hey, this person, their truck cut me off in traffic, right? You got wrap trucks and someone didn't do a nice zipper merge and cut someone off, and all of a sudden you get a bad review for that. Another aspect of it is, if you are not communicative with your prospects, I've seen a lot of negative reviews around, hey, this company never called me back, right? I tried to get an estimate from them. I tried to get an inspection. They never called me back. So things like that really can reflect on your can be a difference between you do provide a good quality service, but it's not showing up online. How many of you use or invested in some kind of reputation management softwares like Birdeye or Podium or Grade.us or there's some good software out there, but how many of you have invested in this, but not really, they really didn't work, right? Like you started sending the emails and text messages, and they have these cool built-in features to automatically generate these reviews for your company, but nothing happens, right? Like and now you're spending, could be $20 a month, could be 200, could be $500 a month on some of these services. And you're like, what's going on? So I see that a lot, that the tool is not the answer, right? And the thing that we have to really make sure of is, if we fail at building an online reputation, a good online reputation, it's going to drag down all of your other marketing. If you are doing Google ads, if you are doing Facebook ads, heck, even if you're out door knocking, right? Even if someone is Googling your company from a sign in the yard, everything you do, the conversion rates on everything you do get reduced with a bad reputation online. We see it time and time again, running Google ads for companies, running Facebook ads, man, if they don't have a lot of good reviews, as many or more than some of their competitors, right? The cost per lead is much higher. People just don't. Why would you call that company, right? So we have to be self-aware with our own reputation and just the way that things are. Why would someone call you? And so the opportunity is, to be the roofing company of choice in your area, right? And stand out from the competition. It doesn't take much in some markets, right? In some markets, boy, it's there's a lot of good companies that have a lot of reviews. And so it takes a little bit. But it's nice. What's nice about online reputation, about looking at your online reputation, is you can see the competitors next to you or in your market that you show up next to. And you can say, oh man, we have 32 reviews and a 4.6 star rating. The companies around us have, a 4.8 star rating and 125 reviews. That's our next goal, right? So we have an opportunity to look at the companies in our area and make and set those goals and hit those goals and make our companies look as good or better online. We can leverage the tools that drive consistent quality reviews, but leverage them in a way that actually works. So we'll talk about that. And then we get to have our reputation speak for itself. There's a stat that 70% of the buying decision is made before people make a phone call to a company these days, right? 70% of the buying decision is already made. So there's, by the time they call you, they're 70% of the way sold, right? So it's more of an opportunity to not screw it up at that point, right? Just don't screw it up if you have that good online reputation. And success in this endeavor is being the go-to roofing company in your area, ranking higher because of your reputation, maximizing those conversion rates. So we're going to start by talking about 5 key principles. These key principles are how we're going to build this world-class experience. So the first principle that you want to focus on is building a world-class customer experience. What does that mean when I say that to you guys? What does that mean? What is a world-class customer experience? What would that mean to you? And drop it in the chat. You can unmute, whatever you think, whatever you want to do there. This is for your participation trophy. You got to participate. Having fun. Well, I'll tell you then, if no one wants to participate with me. A world-class customer experience, to me, begins with a good customer journey or an understanding of the customer journey. So Ron put in one that a customer is happy with the purchase and satisfied with the service, for sure, right? That's a nice, easy way of putting it, right? That you want a happy customer. And so to understand how our customer interacts with us, how our customer, how they flow through buying with us, through the building of the roof, through becoming a loyal customer, a raving fan, it starts with that awareness, right? And in that awareness, first they become aware of your company, or they become aware of their problem and need to solve it, right? And in that awareness stage, seeing your brand around town, right? Seeing your trucks, seeing the signs, seeing you at local community events, seeing a television commercial, like all of those things are awareness to your company. Seeing some brand awareness style Facebook ads, right? Like your organic social media posting. Then they become interested and start to consider your company. This is probably that phase where they're going to start looking at your reputation, right? They're going to start looking up your company. They're going to look at, they're going to look on Google, maybe the BBB, depending on the area of the country you're in. If you're out west, Yelp is still kind of a thing. They're going to start looking, right? Directory or wherever they're starting to see if you're a real good contractor or not. That's that interesting consideration stage. Then you're out there, you do your inspection, and you either give them an estimate, or if it's an insurance situation, you're sitting down with the homeowner and they're making that purchase decision. In that purchase decision, we move on into the delivery. What is the biggest contributor to a bad customer experience between interest and consideration and delivery? It starts with a C. I'm going to give you guys a hint. It starts with a C. Ends with an N. Communication, right? So communication between the interest and consideration after the first time they reach out to you and have a conversation. Boy, that communication through the delivery of the services and beyond, that's where it's won. Like that's where you win. You win the review. And that winning the review is done through quality work, professionalism. I've interviewed, Nikki, what are we up to? 170-ish guests on the podcast.
Recorded over.
Right? Like, so, and there's this common thread of do good work, right? If you do a good job and you take care of your customers, you're gonna succeed. You're going to build a good, and that will lead to a good reputation. Where it stops is in communication, right? Where we lack sometimes is in the communication of asking, right? Asking for a review. And that's why we don't get the reviews. We do this great job. And we're like, man, how come they didn't leave us a review? Well, did you even ask? Right? Mm-hmm. You might not, it's amazing how few times people get asked to do a review. So quality and professionalism is one of those factors that's going to get you there. But like I said, it's exceptional communication. So, these are automations that we have built in our software contractor booths that flow into JobNimbus, and in JobNimbus we have Engage for text communications. But also in the tasks that you create for your people, does your team make a phone call? Right. I just interviewed a company, Mars Restoration, out in the DC area. After every sales appointment, someone from the office calls that homeowner to ask about their experience with the sales process. Right? That's excellent communication. Then on the day of the build, their job site supervisors out there communicating with the homeowner, but then the day after, someone else is reaching out and asking them about their experience. All of these cool little touch points. In that exceptional communication is where you're going to win over the customer, right? Yeah, I like to say, if a customer is wondering, you're losing. If a customer is wondering when you're going to call them next, you're losing. If a customer is wondering when their install is scheduled, you're losing. If a customer is wondering when you're going to get them the estimate, you're losing. Anytime a customer is wondering, you're losing. That will considerably reduce the opportunity to generate a good review from them, right? So how many ways can we think about, like, where can we improve our communication along the way? Through the whole customer journey. That improvement in communication is going to make a wild difference on your reputations. Does that make sense? Drop a 1 in the chat if that makes sense to you. Drew asked, do you think that having so many different people touching a client can have a negative impact? I don't, if there is a purpose, right? Like, there's definitely a main point of contact, and a lot of times that's the salesperson, right? But depending on how your company is structured, they may get moved on to someone that manages the production, and that person is their main point of contact. It could be the job site supervisor that ends up being their main point of contact. What I like about that, the way that Mars does it, is a lot of times people won't tell you what they're really feeling because they like you, right? So Ron comes out to my house and does an estimate, and I like Ron, but then Ron doesn't call me back, right? Or he's it doesn't. I just haven't communicated well with Ron. When that happens, but I liked Ron. I don't want to give a negative feedback to Ron, right? A lot of times I'll just, no, I don't want to say anything to Ron, right? He's a nice guy. But when someone else calls and it comes from a different voice, right? And it creates a different experience. Hey, how did Ron do? Is there anything that we can do to improve upon our sales process or our inspection process? Is there, did, you know, that secondary voice, there's a whole business that got created from that. It's a company called Guild Quality, right? Guild Quality does post installation surveys of your customers. It's a third party. They ask them a bunch of questions, and it gets people to express things that they wouldn't have expressed to you, right? So I think that added layer, but an understanding of why you're calling, who you are, and what you are trying to accomplish with that phone call. I think that's all very important to do. So the second thing that we need to do is we need to build in a culture of building a good reputation. Drop a one in the chat if you have thought of incentivizing homeowners or your customers to give you the review, or if you've tried that before. Drew said he just added a model like that, which I just mentioned. Some of my counterparts said I would lose the personal touch, and the lack of ownership on the part of the project manager, aka salesperson, would lead to problems. I'm working on checks and balances right now. Yeah, man. Listen to is that episode out yet, Nikki, with Mars?
It goes out in a couple weeks, not yet.
Couple
3
weeks
weeks.
that will be out. You can start to hear how they've done it. So here's where I think, Drew, and this is just my opinion, but I think that if you have KPIs that you're measuring, that you're not the sales rep project manager role isn't using that as a reason for them not to communicate, right? They don't rely on the office to do that communication. You're actually checking in on them to make sure they've done the right things. And so that's where I think there's a lot of power, right? Is that not letting them skate, but now it's a checks and balance on, hey, did you do a good job, right? Was our sales rep on time, right? Did they meet the standards of your company, right? Like asking the homeowner if, hey, did they have their company shirt on? Did they have a good appearance? Did they, all of those types of things that you can go in and survey from people, and you'll get a lot of good feedback on that. So, all right, a couple people have tried to, or have thought of incentivizing customers. I have never seen this work. So I want you to understand a lot. I've heard it over and over and over again that, like, hey, we'll give you a Starbucks gift card or something if you leave us a review. I haven't seen anyone do that extremely successfully. Where I have seen it work, the incentivizing of your team is where I see that working. So creating a culture, right, and rewarding and incentivizing. I had a company on the podcast last year from California. They were out in California, and they made a review goal for the year. And if they hit that review goal, the owner took the company, the whole team, on a cruise. It was an Ensenada cruise, 3-day cruise off the coast of California down to Ensenada, Mexico. That's what that was the incentive. There's another company I talked to in Colorado. I thought it was interesting. They do a $500 bonus every quarter, and then a $2,500 bonus at their Christmas party for the end of the year of who got the most reviews. Right, so they're incentivizing their team. Some ways to incentivize the team: take them out to lunch, right? Lunch with the owners at a nice local place. Maybe a little fancy, right? Other things are time off, right? Incentivize your team with, hey, whoever has the most reviews gets Fridays off or something like that, right? The gift of time is another idea. So incentivizing them with the gift of time, the gift of their time. So, you know, a lot of, you hire them a house cleaner for the month or a quarter. Um, get them car washes. Have a lawn service. Mow their lawn. Give them their time back. Right, is an idea there. The We Are the Champions incentive. I've seen companies have trophies and like wrestling belts, championship belts, and all kinds of different stuff. Parking spot with most reviewed team member. That's right up front. All kinds of different things. Subscription services, right? Pay for their Netflix or the NFL ticket just came. It's NFL season, right? It's football season, and so whoever had the most reviews gets the NFL ticket, or you can incentivize them in so many ways. And then that also leads to the conversation with your clients, with your customers. I have a good friend of mine. I've told this story many times, but he's an electrician. He worked for an electrical contracting company for many years, and he was the highest reviewed tech that they had. His name was in 3/4 of the reviews that they had online. And it was because they incentivized him to do that. And so he did. And one of the things I think they gave, I can't remember what they gave him, $20 or $40 or whatever it was, right? So what he would do is he built that into his part of his sales presentation. He talked to the homeowner and he said, hey, my company will buy me lunch if my name is mentioned in a review. Would you like to buy me lunch today, Ron? Right? Yeah, of course, Jim, I'll buy you lunch. That's great, right? So, thinking of things like that, to that when your team is incentivized, they can have those communications, those conversations with customers that are a little bit different. The next thing we want to do is measure, inspect, and celebrate, right? And what you focus on, you get more of. So put a 1 in the chat if you have some sort of incentive program for your team to get reviews. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't have that. Right. So we got a couple. So like Drew, what do how has, maybe if you get a chance, if you can, man, if you can unmute and just say what you've done to incentivize your team.
$50. I give them $50 per review, but I mean, I'm new, man. I just kicked my thing off in April. I got project management background, so I'm super generous. I go too far with it, to be honest, but I'm trying to build like a core network,
Yeah, but here's the thing, what you get from that is crazy. So $50 is well worth it. well worth it. Who else has it's owner Patty? If you want to unmute, if you guys tell an owner, whoever's in here is owner, if you want to unmute, and just tell us what you guys do, if you
So
can.
we do a $25 gas card.
Okay. Yeah. $25 gas card. How has that been? How has your team taken that? How do they like that? Are they insane? Or is it like, oh yeah, we've seen a lot more reviews since we've done that?
So we just started doing that at the beginning of the month.
Okay.
And so the guys seem to like it. I mean, we pay for a company truck and for gas for them to do our work, but then that gas card is, for them to use however they want. If they want to stop at, we have a bunch of QT, so they like to stop at QT. They could use the card to, to go inside and buy snacks or whatever.
Yep, for sure. And so in this third thing that we're talking about is you got to measure it and track it, right? So when you put these incentives into place, how many reviews did you start the month at, right? What was your average star rating? you know, and then measuring the number of new reviews you got that month. You might have to play with it a little bit, right? Everybody has a little bit different culture, a little bit different team. That some people are more incentivized than others. You know, you'll have to see what works best for you and what is most you know, pushes the team along the most. Some response time is something that you can measure for whoever's responding to the reviews. Number of times review requests have been made. This is an important one. One of my first podcast episodes was with a guy down in the DFW area, Adam Butorf with Renown Roofing. And he talked about how they begin asking for a review at the appointment set. I don't know what that verbiage is that they use on that appointment set, but I know that you should start that conversation at least on the inspection, right? When your sales rep goes out, when you're having that conversation. And I think in my mind, the conversation goes something like, hey, Mr. Mrs. Homeowner, you know, just so you know, people trust online reviews as much as a recommendation from a friend and family member. For specifically for like Drew, hey, you know, we're a newer company, but we do quality work and we want to showcase our work and make sure that other people that look up our company understand the quality of work that we do. So, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, if we do a good job for you, only if we do a good job, would you be willing to leave us a review on Google? What do you think they all say?
They say yes if you do a good job.
They say yes if you do a good job, right? Now that sets up the day of install, right? The day of the build, you show up in the morning, your sales rep shows up, your job site supervisor, whoever shows up and has that communication with the homeowner, that first communication with the homeowner, they can have that conversation of, hey, when you were at the kitchen table with Drew, you told him that if we do a good job for you today, you're willing to leave us a review on Google. Are you still willing to do that for us? Yeah, of course we are. Yeah, if you do a good job, right? Okay, I got a couple of things I want to go over with you to make sure that we do a good job for you. So you'd mentioned to Drew that these rose bushes are extremely important to you, right? So we're going to make sure that's taken care of. Your kids play out in the backyard a lot. So one of the things that you're concerned about is nails in the yard. Hey, we're going to do an extra sweep on that just to make, okay. Yep. All right. So all of these things, these are the things that are most important to you. Great. We'll get that done. Now, at the moment of peak happiness, right? When the job is complete, final walkthrough, whatever you're doing. Yep. All right. Here's the dude. Look, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, here's your rose bushes. They're still intact. Here's your yard. It's, you know, we did an extra 2 sweeps on it just to make sure there's no nails there for your kids to step on. Hey, you know, having that conversation. So did we do a good job for you? Do you see it? Did we do a good job? Oh yeah. Drew, that was great. Yeah, Ron, that was a good job. All right, great. So now that you understand the quality of work that we do, are you still willing to leave us that review on Google like you said? Yeah, sure. This is where the magic happens. This is where those tools come into play. Hey, can you do that for me now? And you can use those tools to send them an email, send them a text message, or you can just text them the link yourself, right? Right in front of them. And if you're really, really aggressive about it or really want that review to happen, you'll ask them, can you do that for me now? And you'll shut your mouth. And you'll make it extremely awkward. No, Drew, can you do that for me now? Like really, like right now. Like, and make them do it right in front of you. Those reviews are so impactful to your business. There is nothing that you can do online as a contractor that is more impactful than those reviews. You can get your website ranked. You can become an expert SEO or an expert Facebook ads person. Like there is nothing that you can do that is more impactful than getting those reviews up. It is crazy. So now we want to use those tools, right? We want to use those tools to amplify that conversation, right? If you're uncomfortable with saying that or making them do it right there, or if they have, don't have their phone with them or something ridiculous, because everyone has their phone with you nowadays, right? And most people are logged into Google on their phone. So, if they have an Android phone, they're definitely like set up to do that review right there. So SMS, email, physical mail, sending thank you cards with a QR code that says, hey, leave us a review now. Just click on this QR code. All of those things can be incentivizing, but the in-person is really, really where that rubber hits the road, right? Acknowledge and respond to every review. It's very important to see how you respond to reviews. People like that. Be professional, right? So, even if it's a bad review, be professional. If if you are an emotional person like me, and if you get a bad review, you get a little frustrated, and it's very challenging to write nice words to people. There is this new tool called ChatGPT, and it will write a nice response for you. It's actually one of the nicest things. So you can actually cut and paste the review. You can cut the review, paste it into ChatGPT, and then ask it to write a professional response, and then just make your edits to it and post it up on your thing. But be prompt and professional, address issues and provide solutions, highlight positives and express gratitude, right? When people leave you a positive review, right? Express gratitude towards them. They are the lifeblood. That's what generates success for your business, right? Are those people. Those are the people that are making it happen for you. There's another thing here that's very, very important. There is an SEO consideration for reviews. Google has a back-end algorithm called EAT, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. How do you think that they can measure trustworthiness of your business? They don't know you, right? Google hasn't hired you to do a roof. So a simple way for them to understand the trustworthiness of your business is the amount of quality of good reviews you have on your Google business profile. So that helps with your SEO. That will help you rank in Google. If you are not willing to get reviews and you think, man, I'm just not getting enough phone calls, let me just show you guys. Let me see if I could just show you. Where are you out of, Drew?
I'm in Tucson.
Tucson?
Yeah, and I do all insurance work, and I have a background in other kind of sales, and like I did car audio, dude, and we had competitions for who would get the most reviews, and we would be super aggressive at that. When we're done, I would ask the customer, like, so can you do that review for me right now? Can I see your phone? I would literally take the phone from their hands,
right?
guide them, yeah.
A lot of them will do it. So down in Tucson here, right, we got, this is a sponsored ad. So this is a Google ad right here, the first one. But then we got Canyon, Southern Arizona, and West Coast, right? 4.6 star rating, 4.9, 4.9. But
I'm on there. I'm
You're
Google
on there?
guaranteed, bro. Yeah.
You're up at the top there. Nice.
No, but I'm definitely Google guaranteed, though. That's for sure.
Yes. Google guaranteed
Makes
is
sense.
like that. That's a whole nother webinar. The Google Local Services ads, Google guaranteed. That is an amazing thing to do. This is some stuff you won't see because it's like some little tools that we use from an SEO perspective. But this is, it's how people search, right? It's what they're gonna see. Like, who would you choose? Patty is still on here, Colleen. Like, if you were who would you call first? Canyon, Southern Arizona, or West Coast? For everyone, just drop it in the chat if you're, of who you would call first. Canyon, most reviews, right? Most reviews. So it's not just about the star rating, right? Let's look at another one. Let's see. Since we're in Arizona, we'll just do like Gilbert. Right. So down in Gilbert, we got, this is an ad, right? Oversun is an ad. Five Guys, 430 reviews and a 4.7 star rating. Monsoon, 64, 5-star rating. State 48, 275, 4.8 star rating. Who do you call on this one? Or you got Five Guys again, because they have the most reviews, but they have the lowest star rating, right? Like and all of us are going to have a slightly different way of looking at it, right? Five Guys. I know them. I've had them on the podcast, so they're a great company. I know that. But State 48, I've also had on the podcast. So, State 48, 275. They have a little bit better reviews, right? Let's try to find somewhere that, somewhere maybe that of someone that doesn't. Let's go like Texas. And look in the DFW, right? As we're looking around here, this T-Rock, 24 reviews, 4.8 star rating. JCI, 24 reviews, Results, 786 reviews and a 5-star rating. Does that make anyone wonder, like, if that's true or not? Like, how do you get a 5-star rating with 786 reviews? One thing, I'll click on them here. One thing that you may see it, all of them were 5-star reviews. They do not have, let's see. Oh, they do have a couple, right? So I want you guys to see this, right? Oh, yes, and only 3 years in business, right? So that it's like, man, that's questionable. But as you see here, you can still get a 5-star rating and have 1-star reviews. How does that happen? Anyone have any ideas how that happens? So it's essentially just math, right? So if you have a 4.9, I don't know what it is exactly, if it's a 4.96 or 4.9, like, if you are greater than 4.9, you have a 5-star rating with Google, right? So, but I don't know exactly where it flips, if it's 4.91, 4.96, 4.98, like, but if you have, they only display 1 decimal point, right? So if you get above a certain decimal point, you'll get to the next star rating. So, so that's how Results has negative reviews, but still has a 5-star rating. So don't sweat the negative reviews, right? Bury them in good reviews. That's the only way to make this happen, right? That you can still get to a 5-star review, still get to a 5-star rating with negative reviews. So, any questions? Let's talk through any thoughts, any questions?
Do you think it's worth it to pay somebody to do, because I have somebody who's doing my Google local and then my Google ads, and I pay them a lot of money. You think it's worth it?
How many yeah, it's still worth it, but what is your what's your star rating now? Where are you?
5. It's a 5, but he hasn't got me any of those. You know what I mean? That's been me and my team.
Oh yeah, the company that runs your ads and things like that won't, what's your company name? Apex?
Apex, yeah. Apex Roof Pros.
Let's check you out here. So what I want you to understand is that what's going to happen is the conversion rate on that type of stuff on your Google local services ads and on your Google ads will improve as you get more reviews, right? Like, so, this is just what you also have what's called the service area business, Drew. You won't show up in the map section. What's the zip code of your home office or wherever you're
85705.
570? So I'm going to search as if I'm in. I'm going to just show you this. Like, so I'm sitting like, this is where it thinks I am, right off of like Prince Road there.
Yeah.
Prince Road, right? So this is your competition, right? This is the first competition that you will see. Google's playing with some little stuff right now. They're always testing stuff. So this is what you could see, Drew. You could see your competition, right? You got America's Best Roofing Company. You already have a better star rating than them, right? But they have 40 reviews. You have what, 11?
Yep.
Right, 11. So your first goal is to get to 40 as fast as possible, right? Because if someone is looking at the two of you, you win. Next goal is to get into that 80, 90 range. If you could get to a 3-digit, if you could get to 3 digits, you're going to be even better, right? Because then it's a visual thing. It's different, right? If like the 2-year goal would be to have double Desert Sky, right? Like going after them hard and just doubling Desert Sky. Then you create a gap between you and the next company. Kind of what we were looking at. What was it? The one that had the 500 and something reviews there in Carrollton. Like, that's one of the things. But one thing I want you to see is in this map section here, if I click on any of these, Desert Sky is showing their address. Lions is showing their address.
So that's valuable.
Yeah. So it is extremely difficult to nearly impossible to have your Google business listing show up in the search results, or at least high up in the search results, if you have what's referred to as a service area business.
Okay.
So you got to get the address showing on there so that to kind of help with that. And if it's your house, you got to give it a shot. Sometimes Google will not let you use your home address. They'll make you do a service area business if it's your home address. Then we move on to a business decision of, hey, do we go and get a small office space? You could get a small office space around you probably for $300 to $500 a month, where you would then move your business location to so that you can have that address showing up. But if you don't show up in Google Maps, I guarantee you don't get any calls from there, right? So spending the $500 a month is an investment in those potential leads that come in from there. So,
okay.
Anyone else have any questions? We do digital marketing for roofing contractors day in and day out. If you want to talk to us about using our services in any way, contact us directly. Go to roofermarketers.com, book a call with our team, and listen to the Roofing Success podcast. Right? We have like I said, over 170 episodes of interviews with successful roofing contractors. That's who we talk to on a day in and day out basis, successful roofing contractors, and about the lessons they've learned, what they've done well, what things haven't gone well for them. And in that, we got Ia on the call, who's on our sales team. If anyone wants to chat with him, go ahead and chat with him, or just book a call in the link that Nikki dropped into the chat. And if no one else has any questions, I'll let everyone go for today. A couple minutes early. Give you a couple minutes back of your day. If you have any questions, feel free to open up and ask.